How is everybody doing today? Hopefully good. Oh, let me turn that down. Sorry about that. There we go. I was watching stuff on the iPad before the live. So good morning to everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a good Sunday morning so far. Good afternoon, I guess, now. Long time no see, you know, all that good stuff. So last night when we did the 2020 episode, they did demonetize it, but they didn't block it. So it's still there to view. It's just not there to monetize for some reason. It's probably because, you know, they're a big company. But I'm a small channel. Just give me a break, guys. But at least we had fun. We had a good group of people. We got a lot of subscribers, and we had a really good chat. So can't beat that. Can't beat that. So I'll wait for some people to kind of join us. As you guys are coming in, I would appreciate it if you guys, you know, would subscribe to the channel. If you like true crime, we're here daily talking about true crime. I do timeline videos, and then we do lives as well. Also, if you could like the video as well, if everybody could just hit the thumbs up, that way more people will come into the chat and they'll be able to enjoy it. Let me see here real quick. I just got to do one thing. Just want to make sure everything is ready to go. You could be like so ready. I feel like I could be so ready to go live, and then once I'm live, I'm like, oops, got to do this, got to do that. But that's okay. It gives us some time to say hello and good morning. I don't even know what I was looking for. Okay, that's what I was looking for. This stuff, it can be confusing. So I just want to let you guys know, I do have it on subscribers only in the chat. And that's only so that, you know, like bots and things don't just come flying in the chat when we're trying to, you know, talk about the case. But it is on any duration. So as long as you just subscribe, you can unsubscribe if you decide later on that you don't, you know, like the channel as much or something. But I hope you don't do that. Also, I will show you where we are at with our subscriber count. So we are trying to hit 5,000 subscribers. We have it's no time limit. So we're just trying to hit 5,000. So that way we can do our next giveaway. And I also get my TitaniumBuilt sign behind me. That thing is going to be huge. We've been like measuring and stuff. It's going to be a good sign. So we are at 4641 right now, and it is a live count. So whenever people will just subscribe to the channel, it will go up, and all of that good stuff. And then let me see if I can, I wanted to see. Okay. It looks like if I remove myself from the stream, you guys can't hear me. I was going to put the timeline up behind me that I have sitting there. Do you like my cup? Thank you for being a friend. It's the Golden Girls. Oh, good. Peas in a pod. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we were able to stream it. They just demonetized it, but they didn't block it, which was good because we streamed the Dateline episode the day before and they blocked it. So I'm waiting for them to like unblock it, but hopefully they will. Oh, hello from Corpus Christi, making cookies. All just because she's your sister, 52 years old. That's so sweet. They are getting bigger. They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I love that. I figured today we might have a smaller live just because, you know, it's Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. I don't know what people do on Sundays anymore. But I was like, let's do a live. What did I have to show you? I think I had I was going to show you a couple of videos before I showed you Nancy Grace. I think just one, actually. There's not a whole lot of, you know, super new details in the case. Just kind of... a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork to speak about Brian Kohlberger and how they, you you know, how they acted and interacted with him, like maybe in middle school. Someone came out like from his middle school days. Someone has come out from high school. And girl from Tinder that went on a Tinder date has come out. So it seems like everybody has come out of the woodwork to say what they feel, you know, their experience with him. I haven't heard anybody say that he's bullied them yet, but I've heard people say that he was a bully at some point. But that we haven't heard anybody come out and say that. Also, I want to tell you guys, I do appreciate you guys for being here today. If I forget, you know, I do appreciate that so much. Thank you so much for being here with me. And let's go ahead and I'm going to show you this video here. It was on NewsNation last night. And so I don't know if you guys got to watch it. Probably not if you were here, because it was on the same time that we were streaming. So, and then I even have like a like 3D animation of the house. I want to show that to you guys too. I need to show that to you guys today maybe, because it's a really good virtual like walkthrough of the house, and I've had it up on my computer forever. Good afternoon, Robin's Nest. It is, I like it here too, Teresa. It is relaxing. She said it's a relaxing environment and great interaction together. I feel like that too. Good morning, Isabel, or good afternoon where you're at. Yeah, it's actually like way later in the afternoon. This is like right, probably your time. It's probably a good time for you. Not too tired, not just waking up, not just going to sleep. Isabel's in Scotland, so our times are a little different. So did he, so what is that thing? Yeah, so what is that thing, Parker, with the cameras? I heard about that, but I don't know why it says, I think I have to go back a little bit, but maybe I just clicked on the wrong one. But what was I going to show you guys now? Oh, this one. But yeah, no, I heard something about the, like there was like, maybe he had access to body cam footage or something of some sort. I don't know how that would relate to the case, other than him being able to see like maybe inside the house, what the house looked like, the people and how they interacted at the house. But I mean, anybody would have access to that. I mean, you just need to file a, you know, freedom of information. And then you can get access to that. Like the YouTube channels that have had access to like body cam footage and stuff like that, they just apply for it. They just like ask for it. And they give them like the date or whatever that they want it for. Cause I've seen that on, like, I heard something about it, about him being like him having access to some sort of cameras. So where did you guys read it at, I wonder? Like the public cameras? That's crazy. I know the Golden Girls are the best. I saw someone say that they like the Golden Girls. They were the best. They still are. Oh, so yeah, I guess if you, I mean, well, if you're going to school for that, I guess you could have maybe access. I don't know. That's so crazy. You think that he was the caller seeing the distance through the body cam? Yeah, I mean, he could have been. I think that he was trying to be, I really do think he was trying to be smart about this. I think that he just messed up a lot. Like a whole lot. Like, our man messed up. Okay, I'm going to show you this video really quick and then we'll talk about it.
We are tracking new revelations as well about the...
Sorry, I didn't mean to blast that in your guys' ears. I'll turn it down and then turn it up a little bit.
Idaho murder suspect Brian Kohberger not expected back in court again until late June. Right now, he's being held without bail. We have now learned that Kohberger had posted in an online forum discussing his struggles with mental health and in messages he sent to friends obtained by the New York Times. As a teenager, he allegedly described suicidal thoughts, saying he felt, quote, no emotion and little remorse. I want to bring in Tracy Walder, former CIA officer and FBI special agent. Tracy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Natasha.
We are seeing reports of these old posts where he is having suicidal thoughts. He's observing his life as if he's in a video game, that he felt like, quote, an organic sack of meat with no self-worth. He could, quote, do whatever he wanted with little remorse. In these recent revelations, what is standing out to you?
Well, I think really what's standing out is this is clearly someone who was struggling, with their mental health. And these kind of online musings, I have to wonder if they were almost sort of a cry for help. I'm not sure that he had conversations with his family. However, him kind of putting it out there in the internet ether is clearly a cry for help. But I think we have to be careful. Just because someone is struggling, with mental health issues, might be suicidal, suffering from visual snow, doesn't necessarily, make them a murderer. So I think the prosecution is going to have to be a little careful with how they use this information.
Yeah, I appreciate that. There's also information about some past drug use. Is that right?
From what I'm seeing, yes, a little bit of past drug use. And there's questions as to whether or not that drug use, did it lead to the visual snow, or was he doing these drugs to kind of alleviate the visual snow? So it's hard to know what role sort of drugs played into his system, or if he was even under the influence when he committed these murders.
And to be clear, Koberger did not use his actual name in this chat forum. His birthday matches, as does the username matching an old email of his. But in this chat forum, he also may be talking about having visual snow syndrome, which you're alluding to. Can you tell us more about this? And is it potentially significant to this case at all?
Yeah, so I found that to be very interesting. Visual snow is exceedingly rare. It's basically, constantly seeing the world in fuzz, really, or haze, constantly seeing bright lights flashing. All of those things can lead to migraines. All of those things can lead to lack of sleep. And all of those things can sometimes be a precursor to mental illness. So it's hard to know if he was actually diagnosed with that, or if that was something that he was sort of mulling whether or not he was dealing with the repercussions of. Also, it's been linked to drug use as well.
And we know some of our viewers immediately, when they were hearing about the potential visual snow component, were thinking about the affidavit, and specifically that moment where the surviving roommate talks about seeing him in that hallway. And obviously that roommate was left.
I have a question about the visual snow. Do you think that, it just popped in my head, do you think that maybe he fabricated that he had visual snow because it's something that they cannot test for right now? It's like something you can't really be diagnosed for. And maybe he was trying to be like, let me see how to word this. He was trying to get like attention or something. Like, I don't know. That visual snow is just, it's different. I've never heard of it. And I've heard of a lot of mental illnesses, and this is something I'm never, ever familiar with. So this right here is the NewsNation one. We're just going through this right now, but Lex Luthor. But the episode for Nancy Grace is from, what's today? I think the 13th. And then tomorrow I'm going to play the one they just came out with. I think it was today or yesterday. Because this Nancy Grace is going fast for me with the podcast. So I don't know. Maybe he did it for some sort of attention. I don't know. I've never heard of the visual snow. I'm very intrigued by it though. I will tell you that. And then also, when it comes to mental illness and trying to use that as a defense, he's not going to be able to use that, even if they allowed it in the state or whatever. He was too articulate when he was in court. He spoke too well. He comprehended everything that the judge was saying. I don't know. And drugs, I don't think that drugs made him do this. I don't feel like that had any factor in him committing this crime. Because to me, it kind of seems like he could get on and off of them as he wanted to. But we don't know for sure. I mean, because it seems like he was on them, I thought, and then someone said that they had seen him and it looked like he had been doing better and maybe he wasn't on drugs. So we'll see. Also, if you guys are just now joining, I just want to let you know we are just watching a little piece of NewsNation before we get to the Crime Stories with Nancy Grace podcast. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We love to talk true crime here. Also, if you guys could like the video, that way it does send it into the algorithm. That way more people can enjoy it. And oh, hi, Crime with Kay. Good morning, Beverly Lawyer. Good morning, everybody. I've seen a lot of people in the chat. Everybody, good morning. And thank you so much for being here. Also, once we hit 5,000 subscribers, we are going to be doing a giveaway, and we are so close to that right now. We are going, we are 60 or 46, 43, and this is a live account, so I'll just kind of be, you know, showing it throughout the live. And let me turn this down a little bit so it doesn't hurt your ears.
In your investigator's mind, immediately does it go to that as well? Potentially, did visual snow play into that moment and interaction where maybe he did not even see that surviving roommate?
So weirdly, visual snow isn't what came to my mind. Really, what came to my mind when I thought about the fact that he perhaps didn't see the roommate was, one, just the layout of the house. He probably didn't see her. But I think also, too, he had released a lot of adrenaline in committing these murders. And part of me wonders if he was just so blinded like that, by that he was almost in this dream or daze-like state, and that's what caused him to not see her. Yes, it certainly could have been the visual snow in terms of him not seeing straight, but that just wasn't where my mind first went.
I appreciate that, Tracy. Thank you. So with these sort of revelations, past potential online postings online, can the prosecution use any of this against Kohberger going forward as they build their case?
That's an excellent question. I doubt it, to be completely honest with you, because I think either the defense is going to use this to kind of, set up some kind of an insanity plea, which I don't think is going to happen, just because he has said that was very cognizant of what he was being charged with. I think the prosecution is going to have to be very careful in terms of how they use this, because we don't want to, further stigmatize mental health. And really, it's just circumstantial that he may have been suffering from some of these things. It didn't necessarily lead to him committing these murders.
Really appreciate that, and always appreciate your time. Tracy Walder, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the...
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, he was just way too like alert and oriented, like Teresa said, when he was in court, to ever even be able to use a defense like that. I'd like to see him try anyway. That would just be comedic at this point, because I mean, he knows what he's doing. If you guys didn't watch the live last night, I did stream the 2020 episode. It actually still is up. They demonetized it, but they didn't block it for us. So you guys can all watch that if you want to. If you don't have it like on your cable at home or whatever, it's up. So we're going to be watching we're going to be listening to the podcast for Nancy Grace here in just a minute. If you guys could just hit the like button as you come in, subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 5,000 subscribers or Titans. That way we can do our next giveaway. So it's going to be a good time. I can't wait. Good morning, Nicole. Brian is put together mentally in court. He understands everything the judge speaks, and he knows. Yeah, he knows his surroundings. He definitely does. He knows how to act, not to talk. Like, his lawyer told him not to talk, and that's what he's been doing. I mean, and plus he didn't even talk in the beginning. He knew. So let me see here. And then also last night we did, and so Nancy Grace did an interview with one of the neighbors of Brian Kohberger, and his wife was very standoffish, according to, the husband. The husband wasn't on the actual interview. He didn't want to be seen. He didn't want his name out there, which I thought was pretty smart. But he did say that his wife didn't want Brian in the house, and that because he was going to invite Brian over one day, and that Brian actually brought up the murders to him and asked him if he had heard about them. And the guy was like, no, I only read one article, which to me, that's really weird to me. Like, why would you only know? Like, you're so close. How would you only know about one article? But yeah, so I just thought that was a good little piece too. So that's also in the live from last night. What time is it for me? Or are you talking to me, Nicole? Well, it's 12:37. 5:37 where Isabel is. So yeah, that's prime time for her. Okay, so I will share this with you guys. So we do have another Nancy Grace did it again. She came out with another episode. So tomorrow morning we'll be streaming that episode. It just came out last night. This one came out, I think 2 days ago. And then also, let me go back to this. Well, maybe. I was trying to go to the... Let me see if I can find this little 3D. Okay. So on tomorrow's live, I'm going to try to go over this as well. And this is the 3D animation of the house. And then these little things just give you little details, you know, just of the surroundings, the drone footage, and you can even go inside. And you can hit here and you can like look at these little things like timelines, stuff like that. So I figured we could go through this either tomorrow or Tuesday. It's really interesting. I have a lot of stuff to show you guys still, it seems like. So let's go ahead and go to Nancy's broadcast. Oh, and then before we do Nancy's broadcast, I'll just show you my timeline really quick. That way you know. Okay, so if you guys have the PCA, the probable cause affidavit, because I know a lot of you guys probably do. Like you guys have access to it, or you have it like in your hand. But this is really starting on page 5 of the probable cause affidavit. And it's basically Brian Kohlberger's movements the night of the homicide is what Nancy's going to kind of talk about in her podcast today. So this is my timeline that I did for the time of the whole day of the murder. So I started my timeline at 3:29. The only difference I believe in my timeline is they started theirs at, it says approximately 3:26 a.m. It just says that he was westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow. And so that's the only part that I missed. And then it starts at 3:29 or 3:28. And so at 3:29 a.m., his white Elantra is seen doing passes by the King Road residence. At 4:04, surveillance shows the vehicle doing a U-turn, then parking between the intersection of Queen and King Road. 4:04 to 4:07, Dylan hears Kaylee with Murphy, then hears someone say there's someone here. So that would be after the suspect enters the home around 4:07 or 4:04 to 4:07 is it's my guesstimate. Then 4:20 a.m., the suspect vehicle is seen leaving the home. And then 9:12 to 9:21, phone was back in the area of the crime scene. So I was only going to do this little timeline here, and it was total time in house 16 minutes or less. So then I just started going further. So then at 12:36, Brian's phone is pinged, traveling from Pullman, Washington to Louisville, Idaho. Estimate time 39 minutes. And I'm telling you guys this timeline right now, my timeline, only because I feel like Nancy's timeline is going to be different, and I'm going to have to like research my notes because I don't know. Sometimes that happens. But so then at 12:36, Brian's phone is located at the Kate's Cup of Joe in Clarkston, Washington. So from his house to Pullman to Lewiston, Idaho is going to be, or like Clarkston is going to be 39 minutes. So he went far out just to get some coffee and to go to the grocery store. Here, I'm just going to read the chat really quick. Sorry, guys. Central Time. Who blamed the victim? I don't think I did. I wouldn't. Okay. So at 12:46 to 1:04, that's when Brian is seen on surveillance at a grocery store called Albertson. What he bought there is unknown. They said that they have him on camera there, but they never stated what he found. Why is this like messed up right here? Let me go see what's going on with this. I'm missing like part of my timeline right there. I just noticed that. I know where it was, but I just want to make sure I have it exactly right. Let me see. So then at 12, so then at 5:36, Brian's phone shows up in Johnson, Idaho, which is an hour and 34 minutes from Albertsons and 2 hours from his house in Pullman. And at 5:36 to 8:30, Brian's phone is turned off, or it's like dead or not in service wherever he's at from 5:36 to 8:30 that night. I'm just trying to figure out where I found that. I can always look while we're watching the Nancy episode. But yeah, so that's the timeline. I don't know why that like messed up like that. So sorry about that, guys. Let me see. Thank you again for being here, guys. I really appreciate it. We are getting ready to watch the Nancy Grace podcast. If you guys could just thumbs up the video, that would be so great. Hi, Bridget. Good morning. Sometimes it makes me show you guys' comments. If you do like emojis or something. So if you see me looking over here, that's why I'm looking at the iPad. I do have it on subscriber only mode in the chat just because, you know, bots and stuff, they fly in and out. So it's just a little bit easier if we just put it on subscriber only mode. We are getting ready to watch the Nancy Grace podcast. I just went over Brian Kohlberger's timelines because that's what she's going to be talking about in her podcast today. So I wanted to go over his full kind of timeline for the day of the crime. And then she does have a lot of people on the panel tonight, so that's kind of good. I like to hear what they have to say. And then up top, it just says, all this week, Nancy Grace is in Idaho. Today, Nancy and her team drive the route Brian Kohlberger's reported drove after the murders. Kohlberger's phone was turned off during the time of the murders, but once the phone was turned on at around 4:50 a.m., investigators were able to track its movement. The phone was tracked near Blaine, Idaho. Tracking also showed Kohlberger traveling south to Genesee, west to Uniontown, and north back to Pullman. Nancy Grace describes the dark, eerie drive. So we're going to play this. If you guys could just like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 5,000 Titans. So once we hit 5,000 subscribers, we are going to do a giveaway. And then I get my TitaniumBuilt sign. So you win, I win, we all win. So we are doing a live count. So as of right now, we are at 4652. We are literally almost there, guys. So if you guys want to subscribe to the channel, we would love to have you. And I will just show you the live count here throughout the live today. Again, thanks for being here with me. I really, truly appreciate it so, so much. And don't forget to like the video. Just kidding. I won't say it. I won't say it for a while. I promise, guys. I don't have mods, so they're not saying it through the chat. So you can just go through the chat and talk all you want.
With the Kroger Plus card.
Sorry, I forgot to tell you, I don't have control over the volume, so it might be a little loud. So I don't know if you need to turn your volume down a little bit and then turn it up. But I don't have control on it on my side, so I don't want it to hurt your ears.
It's easy to get lower than low prices.
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. We are live here in Moscow, Idaho, camped outside the so-called murder house where 4 beautiful young co-eds, 3 girls, 1 guy, lost their lives. And I've got to tell you, there is an eerie silence here. One thing I just noticed as I sat down at this fold-out table, about 20 feet from me is an apartment complex, an apartment building right beside the murder house. And I can clearly hear an infant inside crying. My point is that the video cam, the security cam, about 50 feet away from the murder house appears to have caught whimpering, muted whimpering at the time we believe the murders occurred of those 4 students. And from what I can tell now, that is entirely possible, if not overwhelmingly probable. I mean, I can hear everything that's happening right beside me. And out in the street, there's no question that security cam could have picked up any sounds, including a loud thud or a dog barking or whimpering. And speaking of whimpering, I've got an all-star panel. I'll introduce them as we go along. But to Cheryl McCollum joining me, forensic expert, founder of the Cold Case Research Institute, now star of Zone 7, a new hit podcast. Cheryl, when I hear that word whimpering, I can't get away from it. I cannot get away from one of those girls, or possibly Ethan, actually whimpering after they've been stabbed. You know, half awake, half asleep. I'm not really even sure they were all asleep, Cheryl, because one of them had just gotten DoorDash at 4 something. How could they be asleep at the time of the murders? But I do believe they were in their beds. But the whimpering, Cheryl, it's awful. Whoa, wait, could you hear that? I can hear the baby, and it's further away from me than the murder house. So there's no question that security cam was picking up the sounds of the murders. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Nancy, what it does to me is it allows the general public to hear this crime in progress, which normally we are not at all able to, witness that as an ear witness. And it's gonna be followed up by what the security camera says is also a thud. We're going to know when this life ended in real time. And I think that's going to be critical in the future for a jury to understand this is not something off TV. This happened.
To everybody on the panel, you've all been to crime scenes, murder scenes, but I've only felt this feeling at a couple of murders in the past. It's very eerie here. It's quiet. I was saying earlier that it feels like you've gone into an empty church or you're out in a cemetery. There's just a very eerie feeling around the house. And it's just the way you described it. Joining me also is Chris McDonough, Director, Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective, and star of The Interview Room on YouTube. I'm looking right over at the Sigma Chi house. And it's amazing to me. You warned me, Chris. I have circled this house on foot and in an SUV over and over and over. There is nowhere that you don't have a bird's eye view straight into their home, Chris McDonough.
Yeah, Nancy, and isn't that chilling just in of itself when as the way you describe how, the scene is so silent. It's almost as if the universe is frozen that moment of this horrific crime. And I felt the same thing when I was there, right there on the same road with you. It is extremely, just unsettling, yet holy at the same time.
Another thing, when you said it was frozen in time, in the back, it looks like they've still got Christmas lights strung up. But another thing I noticed, and this is really interesting to me, David Leroy is with me. Guys, you know that name well. He's a high-profile lawyer out of Idaho. He's the former Idaho Attorney General and Lieutenant Governor, former prosecutor at dleroy.com. But what intrigues me the most is not just his legal prowess. He has been in this home many times. David Leroy, Chris McDonough tried to warn me, but how easy it was. I could not really fathom how easy it was to see. I mean, these girls were like fish in a little fishbowl for the killer to spy on them, laughing, making breakfast, changing clothes, getting out of the bathtub or the shower, making out with their boyfriends. I mean, how many times do you think Kohberger stood right behind this house and looked in? There are trees right behind the house, David Leroy, but they're not thick at all. I can see straight through them. What would you say, Sydney? Maybe 7 or 8 trees, and they're tall and spindly. You can see straight through them. They might as well not even be there.
Well, the setting, as you have discovered, Nancy, is both somewhat intimate, a little offshoot of a road that almost dead ends halfway up a hill. It therefore is on a rim where you can look across to the Sigma Chi house. But one thing that hasn't been particularly well detailed is across the street from the Sigma Chi house and behind the next hill is the administration building for the university, perhaps just a quarter of a mile as the crow would fly from that house. So it's isolated, it's halfway up a hill, it has these vistas and views, but it's really almost smack dab in the middle of the campus itself.
Guys, another thing we learned last night. We got in an SUV, and the SUV was taken from the murder scene all the way back to Kohberger's Pullman home. And I want to tell you what we learned. He didn't go straight home. I think he was trying to throw off LE, law enforcement. What should have been a 9 to 15 minute drive turned out to be an hour drive. It reminds me a lot of Murdaugh on his rural route when he got shot in the head and lied about it. Remember, he claimed he took this long, circuitous route from A to B. When it would have been about an 11-minute drive, he chose to make a 45-minute drive so he wouldn't be seen when he had himself shot in the head as an alibi of sorts. But long story short, this route taken in the middle of the night, that's when we took the route in the pitch dark. It's very sparse. It's a real no man's land. He could have thrown that knife anywhere. It does not get even close to the Snake River. So I don't believe the knife is in the Snake River. But there were some homes, but no traffic. We passed about 2 or 3 cars the whole hour. Pitch dark, no street lights, which is common in the country. But he could have done anything he wanted with that knife. Now, this is what I want to throw to you guys. Do you believe, as I do, that if LE, law enforcement, looks at the records long enough, they will catch him with his cell phone plotting that route, practicing that route? What do you think, Cheryl McCollum?
Nancy, I think he's going to have maps on the wall inside his apartment. I think not only is it on his phone and on his computer, I literally think he has pinpointed and charted this thing out where he can look at it every day.
You know, you said...
Could you imagine really if the officers went into his apartment and they walked in and there's like a map on the freaking wall and like all these different rubber bands and strings going from here, there, and everywhere? That would be a treasure trove. That would be awesome. I haven't seen them take anything like that out of the house. That would be huge because they would cut the whole wall out. They wouldn't take that stuff off the wall. If he had some stuff plastered all over his wall with some strings and stuff like that, they would literally probably cut the wall out, because we've seen the apartments. We've seen the inside of the apartments, what they look like. If you haven't, I think I did it on like 2 lives ago or something, or 3 lives. It might be actually in the title, I'm not sure, but and I can always pull it up again. But they would just cut out the whole damn wall. You'd see them opening that building up however they could. They'd take that right to the police station, right to the courthouse, and then be like, this is how we did it. But you never know. But I haven't seen them really take anything out of his apartment that much, like that big. I've only seen them take like a few boxes and maybe a bag or so out. So maybe he was a little more clever than we thought with the evidence. What do you think? Do you think that he would have kept the knife? Or do you guys think that I'll put it in the, I'll do a poll and then I'll end the other poll. So the last poll was, do you think Visual Snow had a part in Brian not seeing Dylan? And 80% of you guys said no. So then we'll do another poll here in a minute.
Interesting, and I don't know if you meant it the way I took it, to look at it every day. Cheryl, you know what I carry with me all the time? My dad's shirt. And I look at it every morning when I wake up. I look at it at night before I go to sleep. I miss him so much. It's something that I love, okay, because it's part of him. Did you hear what she said, Dr. Angela Arnold? I don't know if she meant it this way. With me is Dr. Angie Arnold, a renowned psychiatrist out of the Atlanta jurisdiction. You can find her at angelaarnoldmd.com. She said he looks at it all the time. All the time. As a memento, like I would look at a scrapbook of the twins growing up, their first grade, their christening, their first Christmas. Explain that. Why would he want to look at the map?
Nancy, to me, more than a memento, it's an obsession. He's obsessing over what he's going to do. He's got these obsessive thoughts. They're very bad thoughts that go through his head. And so he's plotting this out.
Okay, I'm looking for a little more from you, Dr. Angie, not very bad thoughts. I mean, I can say that. You're the psychiatrist.
He's got incongruent thoughts in his head about murder, about murdering someone. And it just so happens that these people are the target of who he is set out to murder at this particular time in his life.
With the Kroger Plus card, it's easy to get lower.
I think about that's the motive. Why would the crime story?
Okay, so if you guys are just now joining, sorry, I thought I had my mic muted, so I'll mute it next time, but I don't think you guys could hear anything in the background. But if you're just now joining us, thank you so much for joining my live. We are watching the Nancy Grace podcast for the Idaho 4 murders. This is the one where she's actually like retracing the route of Brian Kohlberger, the suspect, in this case. So we just started it about 11 minutes ago. So if you're just now joining, you haven't really missed too much. You can always go back, catch it on replay. Also, if you could, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Once we hit 5,000 Titans, we are doing our next giveaway. So right now we are at, let me see. So we are at 4674. So we are so close, so close. So once we hit, the 5,000, we will do our next cash giveaway. So. And I'm going to go ahead and play the Nancy Grace podcast. I don't want it to, I can't control the volume. So if it's a little loud, I'm sorry.
Stories with Nancy Grace.
We look for a motive, even though the state doesn't have to prove a motive ever in any case. But a jury likes to hear, what's the motive? Why would the person do this? Well, you've got to rape somebody, you've got to steal something, you've got anger, you've got drugs or alcohol. In this case, we had none of that. But I'm just wondering, I think about those questionnaires he sent to felons, like, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind? What were you feeling when you committed that murder, when you raped that lady? What were you thinking?
Nancy,
I would never even imagine asking a perp something like that. But I think that's Chris. Listen to this theory and you can shoot it down if you feel like it. But what about this? That when the questionnaires wouldn't do it for him anymore, he tried to get on with a police department, hoping to see crime scenes. When that fell through, he finally acted on his impulses, on his obsession. Go ahead.
We used to say in homicide, knowledge is having the correct answer. Intelligence is asking the right question. And this guy, to your point, got to a point where there was something that had built up. And, when you start paying attention to the detail, like we're talking here, then the big picture will start taking care of itself. The pre-planning, all of the movements he was making, prior to the incident, the incident itself and the post-incident, all of those behavior patterns established with all of the evidence will paint the big picture of who this guy really is.
Nancy, back on the big picture.
Go ahead, David Leroy.
Those 3 roadways are important, the directions they go and what they are, to your observation about and in relation to this big picture. 2 of them are major highways into and out of Moscow and Pullman. And the one that is most significant is the back road that you were talking about that has literally almost no population, going through rolling hills and wheat fields. The first road he took was a major highway south to Lewiston, Idaho, and that would suggest, were he to be followed, that he was interested in being in Lewiston or going to Lewiston, but it is exactly away from Pullman, Washington. The road that he ended up on going back to Pullman was a major highway going from south to north that would indicate somebody on it had no relationship to Moscow. And what he did to tie those two things together, neither one of which suggests any relationship to Pullman, is to cross between those two highways on this rural agricultural back road that spans some 6 or 7 or 8 miles. And so the idea here was to leave town, going away from Pullman, to come back to town, not having any relationship to having been in Moscow, and to obscure those two directions by this back road where he would run into nobody. That's the importance of this 3-road connection.
Hey, Nancy, I got to jump back in here real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when I said he would be staring at it, I meant that. That's why he literally, I believe, put things on the wall. Remember when you took the twins across the country? How long did you spend looking at national parks and state parks and places to stay and roadside attractions to show them? For the past 4 months, this is all he has done. We know of 12 times he visited before the murders. We know of at least 4 he visited the day of the murders. One very significant thing about this guy, Ted Bundy worked at Rape Crisis so he could hear from the victims because that's what got him off. This guy wanted to hear from perpetrators. That's where his mind is because that's how he sees himself.
That's a solid point, Cheryl.
You know, I'm just thinking about how the cops tore apart his apartment. And I'm wondering, we know he is extremely fastidious. Did he keep written notes? Did he plan in writing? Did he have a list on his computer? I wonder what he bought when he went to Albertsons, which I think isn't Albertsons a grocery store, guys? He went to an Albertsons. I'm wondering what he got there right after the murders, after he came back and looked at the crime scene again. And we catch criminals coming back to the scene so often. I mean, think of Scott Peterson. Remember how he would go to the edge of a scenic vista and look out on the San Francisco Bay? I guess what was he looking to see if Lacey's body had popped up in the water? But it's almost instinctual. I'm just hoping the cops can get him practicing that route on his cell phone. Very circuitous route. When we drove it last night, pitch dark, everybody. Point is, you got to know where you're going. A lot of twists and turns on that route. And I guarantee you, just knowing him, as much as we know him now, after seeing him, after hearing about him cleaning out his car so meticulously, wearing gloves even after the incident, you know he planned this out and he had to leave a trail. But can we find the trail? Also, we know that in a few short hours, there's going to be what is called a status hearing. It's going to be Thursday morning. Straight out to you, David Leroy. In this jurisdiction, what is a status hearing?
A status hearing before the magistrate early on in a felony case, before a preliminary hearing is had, will simply be a scheduling conference at which probably 2 things will come up. Number one, the judge will be asking the defense if they are ready to or wish to have their preliminary hearing at which the prosecution would be required to call witnesses and produce evidence to show a belief to a probable cause. The status hearing principally will be called to show the defense the opportunity. I'm going to start again here, Nancy. The defense will have an opportunity at this status hearing to indicate to the judge whether they wish to go forward with the probable cause hearing called a preliminary hearing immediately or delay that. That will be the first issue that is considered. The second issue will likely be a discussion about whether discovery, the exchange of police reports and other materials back and forth from the prosecutor to the defense and the defense's response to it, is going adequately and smoothly. So it's essentially a scheduling conference.
Okay. You know what? Another thing, you hear about status conferences typically in civil cases where the judge is saying, okay, you had a car wreck. Are you going to settle, or do I need to put this on a trial calendar? Can't you people get along talking to the lawyers, not the parties? Trust me. Can't you come up with something so we don't have to go to trial? That's how I view status conferences in this case, which of course is not civil. It's criminal. Just as David Leroy is describing, it's kind of an update. How are we moving along? Do you need experts paid for by the state? Do you need other people on your team? Also, when it comes to a preliminary hearing, I would imagine that the state would opt for a grand jury proceeding rather than put their witnesses up on the stand for the defense to get a first strike, take a whack at them before the jury trial. So I'm thinking that the state will opt with a grand jury as opposed to a preliminary hearing. As we wait for that status hearing to start, also, we're wondering if Brian Kohberger will be at the status hearing. And I can guarantee you, I believe he will. Why? Is there anything important really going on? No, there's not. It's just a scheduling matter. But if they don't bring the defendant in, he could later claim he missed something important and his constitutional rights were violated. And we've also learned the jail here is in the courthouse. So why not just shuttle him up the elevator and get him in there for that status hearing, whether he needs to be there or not? Cross your T's, dot your I's. Nobody means to make a mistake, but it happens in criminal cases. And once it's happened, it can actually change the course of the investigation and the trial. A lot is going down. I want to take some calls from our viewers and emails, all of their questions. Here's a good one. Take a listen to this, guys. This is from Bambi. Interested in the DoorDash delivery person.
Hey guys, I just wanted to let you guys know, if you're just now joining us, thank you so much for joining me today for my live. It's been a great live so far. We are actually watching the Nancy Grace podcast. She's going over the Idaho 4 case. She's going over Brian Kohberger's movements in the day of and the days after the crime and all of that stuff. She has a panel full of people and experts. Some names you may know, some names you may not know. But if you guys have any questions about the case, just drop it in the comment section and someone will get your question answered, or I can answer it for you guys. That way we're all caught up with the case. If you would love to subscribe to the channel, we would love to have you as a Titan here. And also if you could just thumbs up the video, that way more people can enjoy it. We have 891 people in here. If everybody could thumbs up the video, that would be fantastic. That would mean the world to me. So thank you guys so much again. I really do appreciate it.
Did they drop the food off at the door, or did someone get it from them? Was a delivery person interviewed by police to see if, hey police.
Hi, how are you?
Glad to see you, Moscow police. Glad to see you.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you, they have been patrolling this area nonstop. You would be surprised at all of the rubberneckers that are just coming by to stare at the house. It's a little freaky. Right. But of course, maybe they're trying to figure something out, just like we are. Okay, back to Bambi. Was a delivery person interviewed by police to see if they noticed the killer's car or anything else that happened that night? Okay, that leads me to another question. Sydney, you would know the answer to this probably. Don't DoorDash cars have a camera?
Not necessarily.
Oh, not necessarily. I was thinking more about Ubers or Lyfts. They always have a camera.
Depends on the driver.
May or may not have a camera. Okay, let's go with this question. DoorDash.
They would only have the DoorDash or Uber Eats or Lyft or whatever have you. They would only have a camera in their car if they bought that camera and they placed that camera in the car themselves. The company doesn't give them cameras. So just to let you guys know, that's something that you have to buy on your own. So that's why some drivers have them. Other drivers, they don't have those.
Delivery person. Okay, you guys are very familiar with the timeline. What do you make of the DoorDash delivery so close to the time of the murder, Cheryl McCollum?
I think it very well may have been his opening. If he was in the watch area and he saw maybe she opened the door and just closed it right back, she didn't maybe engage the lock, that gave him his literal entry into the home.
You know, here's a good question from Jennifer. And guys, everybody on the panel, jump in if you have a thought. Jennifer, we know he spent a lot of time scoping the house prior to that night. We know it was a party house. When I was in college, I lived in a party house. We never questioned strangers who stopped in. We always thought they were just friends of friends. I wonder if he ever drove by when there was a party and actually went in. Wow. Okay, this guy was socially awkward, but he also tried to make friends with people. And in fact, some of his neighbors would try to get away from him because he wanted to talk so much. Who was that? Was that Chris McDonough or David Leroy?
That was Chris, Nancy.
Jump in. Go ahead.
You know, with this guy's ego, that would not surprise me if he tried to, blend into a party scene.
Oh, you mean like James Bond going into the casino, acting all natural, like he's really gambling?
Yeah.
Got it. I could see that too, now that you're saying it that way.
Yeah.
And really getting off on it. What about that, Cheryl? I'm going to come back to you, Chris. Can't you see him trying to blend into a party?
I have a 19-year-old girl, and there is no way a almost 30-year-old man would blend into a party she was at. He would stick out like a sore thumb.
Well, I know that, and you know that.
But other partygoers would have come forward by now.
I'm going to give you a classic quote from Caddyshack. If you want to catch a varmint, you got to think like a varmint. This guy was so obsessed with this house and these girls. Back to you, Chris McDonough. Can't you see him trying to get closer and closer and closer to the interior of that home?
Absolutely. And look what he used to do in the bars, where he would project himself as some ladies' man. And of course, the radar would go up with the women. It was like, this guy's just an oddball here. I could see him trying to, blend in as a chameleon into the college environment. Now, would he fit? No, of course not. But his ego will not stop him from trying.
I'm trying to take in everything you guys are saying. From JYL, what do you think about the fact he told the defense attorney in Pennsylvania, hello, police again, that he was, quote, eager to be exonerated? Hey, Jackie, could you play the sound of the lawyer to answer JYL's question? I want to examine that. The sound that we talked about where the lawyer is stating verbatim what Kohberger told him. Let's hear that, Jack. Thanks.
Jason Labar says he first met his client at the Monroe County Correctional Facility.
Ordinary, average type guy.
He says the first thing he said to the suspect was, don't tell me anything about the case. Don't tell me any facts. That's information for your Idaho attorney.
He was very calm. He was aware of what was going on. He was aware of the murders.
He says his client was intentional about what was said on his behalf in the statement to the public.
The statement that was written by myself in my office, but the exonerated, the eager to be exonerated was his. He specifically said eager to be exonerated rather than he was innocent or something like that.
Did you hear his words, Kohberger's words through his lawyer? I'm eager to be exonerated, as opposed to, I didn't do this. I had nothing to do with this. I'm eager to be exonerated. What do you make of that, guys? Let's go to our shrink, Dr. Angela Arnold, psychiatrist out of Atlanta. What do you make of that wording?
Nancy, it's like he lives above the fray. It's like he's got some sort of grandiosity to him. And I'll tell y'all something. I know that we're trying to say that somehow he was attached to these girls that he killed. I don't see that there was an attachment that he had. It was something that he wanted to carry out.
It's like an experiment, Dr. Angie.
Excuse me?
It's like one of his freaky experiments,
Exactly.
like those questionnaires he would send to felons.
He has no remorse about it. This is an action that he wanted to carry out, okay? If psychopaths don't have any strong inhibitions about physically injuring other people, then I can promise you they don't have any inhibitions about walking into a party house and trying to make themselves comfortable in there. They think differently than other people do. And I know that is very hard to understand, but this man is a psychopath all day long. And he thinks differently than we do. And that's why it's hard for us to pinpoint exactly how he was thinking through all of this.
Here's a question from Corey. How dark is the surrounding area near the house at night? Corey, it's pitch black. It is pitch black. And inside, hey, Sydney, is that bottom light on the right on the home still turned on? Because when we drove up in the dark this morning, we were really early getting here.
And you know, Nancy, down at the bottom,
a light is on the bottom right.
It was on this morning. It's not on.
It doesn't look like it's on now, but I know nobody's going in that house. But it was on this morning. It appears to be off now. Hold on, Chris McDonough. I think that was you. Can I tell you, it's so dark, Corey, that when the inside of the home is lit up, you can see everything. I tried to take pictures of it and post so everybody could see, but it's like you're watching a movie where you're in the dark and the movie's in the light. That's how the dark works around this home. It seems as if it illuminates the inside of the home. That's from Corey. Go ahead, Chris.
Nancy, right where you're standing there, the apartment complex, you know, up at the top, up there, that light, that was not working the night of the incident. That light was out.
So it would have been even darker.
It was darker.
And another thing to Corey, who sent me this question, I was sitting right here last night and I can look across the street. It's so tight here. The streets are so narrow. This must be a really old area of town because the apartments look very old. I can sit right here and look, and I can tell you what kind of soda can they have on their ledge right there. I can see what the guy was cooking for dinner right in that window. And I just wonder, another person asked, how long had he been watching and stalking the girls? Did you catch in the probable cause affidavit, David Leroy? David Leroy joining me, high-profile lawyer out of Boise, Idaho. This is his neck of the woods. The cop said at least 12 times we've got him at the murder house.
Well, that certainly would be no accident. You don't show up at that particular locale without an intent to be in the neighborhood. And if that's the case, and if it's visible as is indicated, obviously many things were seen and many things were available to be seen.
I'm saying the at least caught my attention, Cheryl McCollum, which tells me that he was here many, many more times than 12.
They only gave enough in that affidavit to arrest him. They have got so much more information on him, so much more evidence on him. I think it's going to be mind-boggling. But Nancy, let me finish my point about the party, please, so your listener can hear this.
Yeah.
The reason I mentioned that about Caroline, he would have stuck out to her. The two surviving roommates and any other person at that party now have his face. They would have already told law enforcement he'd been in the house. So again, they're going to already know that because he would have stuck out like a 30-year-old dude, not doing a cake stand, not drinking mystery shots, and not.
So they're talking about right now how they feel like Brian Kohlberger, well, not Nancy, but, you know, the lady, Sherry McCollum is saying how she feels like Brian could have maybe met them at a party or been to one of their parties before. What's your thoughts on that? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Also, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. We have over 1,000 people in the chat today, which is awesome. If you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel, we'd love to have you. We do talk true crime every day here. We are watching the Nancy Grace podcast, which is the one that just came out on the 13th. And then tomorrow on our live at 9:15 or 10:15 a.m., I'm sorry, because tomorrow's Monday, we will be doing another podcast and talking about it. So basically, we're just kind of talking through this one here. But thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. I have been doing a live subscriber count. So as of right now, we are at 4726. We're trying to hit 5,000. That way we do our next cash giveaway. And I get my neon sign behind me. So you can't beat that. Little for me, little for you. So I'll go ahead and start playing the rest of the podcast here. Thank you guys again for being here so much. I really appreciate it.
Not dancing.
Which makes me think he may not have ever entered the home. But I guarantee you, Cheryl, he got as close as he could, even maybe up on the porch to where that sliding glass door. And there are two sliding glass doors. There's one on the side and one in the back. Oh, here's another thing I've learned. You know, in the beginning, we were speculating that from this angle on the street, You see that entrance only when you come around to the side do you see the sliding glass door entrance on the second floor, and there's another on the back. We were completely wrong. There's no way you can look at this house, even from the front, and not know that there are entrances elsewhere. Because when you come up on the house, when you drive up on it, you can see the side. So you see the side before you see the front. So you would see the other entrances.
I'm wondering what side he actually came in on now that she's saying that. I don't believe that. I thought he came up in front of the house. The way that the PCA kind of, the probable cause affidavit kind of read out, because he did like some turnarounds. The dude did like a 3-point turn. He's not the greatest driver. So this is just going to be a commercial here, and then I'll go ahead and fast forward through the commercial so we can play the rest of the video. I was just trying to read some of your stuff in the chat. You're probably right about the PhD students don't generally party very much. I feel like you're right there. I feel like, I don't know if he would have been ballsy enough to go to a party, but I do believe he was outside watching them from afar. Like I always thought it was a neighbor. I never thought it was the neighbor that was interviewed or anything, but I thought it was a neighbor or somebody that could, view them without them knowing it. With them having such large windows and then not having blinds really or anything like covering their windows, that's what it appears like. It appears like you would be able to just look right into the house and people would be able to look right in. But at night, you probably can't see out of those windows as well. So a lot of people could see you, but you wouldn't be able to see them. So I'll go ahead and play this again. And I'm sorry, I don't have control over the volume, so it might be a little loud.
With the Kroger Plus card, it's easy to get lower than low prices for the win. Earn fuel points on every purchase and save up to $1 a gallon at the pump. The Kroger Plus card, all you do is win. Big, big savings. Sign up now at Kroger.com and start saving. Kroger.
Why the car?
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace.
Another question people are wondering. Let's go to A. Why the call from roommate to 911 stated it was an unconscious person? Clearly, it was a bloody scene. There is speculation that one of the roommates passed out and wouldn't wake up. I find that to be too coincidental. I think that they called 911 about the dead bodies. What do you think, guys?
I agree. If we take into consideration the roommate who witnessed the perpetrator, her room is directly below where Kaylee and Madison, where their lives were taken. So she had to have heard a lot of information going down, which put her at, well, I find the phrasing in the affidavit where the investigator says the frozen state. And so there's a variety of other things taking place here in her statement that we're just not privy to at this point. And so that wouldn't surprise me that trauma took over and she either froze, for quite some time, because that suspect, not only was she listening to what was going on, she heard him, she saw him, and then at this point, that really must have played a major role in her psyche in relationship to her being potentially taken as well.
I also heard a speculation that was simply in the very early initial dispatch category that was entered into the record when somebody called in, and without any detail, the unconscious person was entered in the logs. I think that's just as logical as somebody not fully describing what they did see.
Guys, here's some more questions. Here's Jackson on Twitter. I'd like to see how far the house is from the school. And all of the reporting, we see the house and the town. How close is the school from home? Guys, is the St. Mackay house on school property?
No, it's just off, actually, in private property.
It's off. Well, I would say that we're only maybe 2 blocks from where the school starts. max. And that's as the crow flies. Because I'm looking over, I can see campus from here.
That's correct.
That ridge up there, Sid, isn't that campus? Yeah, I see everybody going to class from here. And people are going down this stretch right here, going to and from class as we're talking. So it's really, really close. Again, the streets are so tight, there's no way, if there had been surveillance video cams here, that they would not have caught the car. Okay, here's one. The dad. Anyway, he was aware his son was involved, especially after the FBI was looking for a white car. If the dad did not know that Ellie was looking for a white Elantra, he would probably be the only one in the country that didn't know. And then he goes and gets his son in Pullman 10 minutes from the murder scene and drives him home. How could he not know?
Nancy, I think there's a couple things to point out about Dad. Was he sent there, in recent days to drive back with him, or was that something planned before the murders? I'd like to know that. Okay, number two.
It was long planned.
And listen.
It was long planned.
When he's stopped by law enforcement, Dad is answering questions for him to the officer. Is that something he typically does?
Didn't one of them say they were going for Thai food?
The accused said it.
Who in the hay would say we're going for Thai food on the internet?
Instead of just saying I'm driving home for the holiday.
That's a lie.
Right. His parents also had to know, and this is where patterns come in. How often did he take out the trash? I bet he didn't never take it out with gloves
at 4 a.m.
Right. How many times in the freezing cold did he clean his car? I bet never.
Here's another question, guys.
I bet those are all questions his parents are asking themselves right now, too. I bet you his parents are literally probably saying the same things that they just said. He's never taken the trash out before. Who would take out the trash at 4 a.m.? Thank you, Tim, for the super sticker. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. But yeah, who would take out the trash at 4 a.m.? I probably would, but I'm up really early. Not 4 a.m., but 5 a.m. maybe. But yeah, and at 28, seriously, 28 years old, I don't think so. And then Thai food, I definitely don't think so. Which, if he's not going to eat on his aunt and uncle's pots and pans because they had meat on them at one point, he's not going to go into a restaurant and eat. There's just no way. And if he does, then that's just not right. That's just not smart. If you're going to vegan, if you're going that way, you would think that you wouldn't eat at restaurants because the plates and the dishes at restaurants, they're not the cleanest sometimes. They try, but Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start playing this again. Hopefully it doesn't hurt your little ears. If you guys could like the video, that way more people can come in and they can, hang out with us. If you guys have any questions, just throw them in the chat. If you guys want me to look anything up while we're on the live, just throw that in the chat as well. I can do that for you guys and we can discuss anything over the case. So thank you again for being here with me. If you want to, you can subscribe to the channel. We are trying to hit 5,000 subscribers. That way we do our next cash giveaway and I get my TitaniumBuilt sign behind me. So as of right now, we are at 4748. So we're super close, super close. We'll be there in no time.
Another question, guys, from the VEE. How big are the windows? Could he see? I guess she's talking about D as in DM and bedrooms. Maybe lights on if he was looking from a distance before or after the crime. Oh my goodness. They're big. And they don't have the crisscross panes in them. They're just big, clear, paned windows. What would you say? They're about 4x4 windows? 3x4? They're big. They look to be the windows that you slide open horizontally because they're not paned. There's nothing obscuring his vision. Here's from Gina. Everyone's saying Dylan locked eyes with the killer, yet that's not in the PC document. Any idea the killer actually saw her as he was leaving? I would say a big no to that. That's online rumors that they locked eyes. Nobody has said that except on social media. And I think if the killer actually locked eyes with her or saw her, he would have killed her too. He walked through the room that was totally dark with that neon light shining that said good vibes. And I think amazingly, he walked right by her. Here was the question about how far the house is from the school. Here's a really good one from Kara. Any unsolved murders in a 60-mile radius from Pullman since this summer? How about 60 miles from his home in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York? What about that? I mean, how likely is it, Dr. Angela Arnold, that he goes from 0 to 100 mph on his first try, that he goes into a home and in 16 minutes stabs dead 4 people and almost gets away with it? And of course, he's assumed innocent till proven guilty. We know that. But does that happen overnight, or is this just round 2 or 3 for him?
I believe it's going to be round 2 or 3 or 10 for him, and I have a feeling we have found a serial killer that has been living amongst us. And
I'm just going to pause it one more time, I promise. But I did want to pause it for a reason. What was now I don't know what I was going to pause it for, guys. I had a reason for pausing, and now I don't even remember what it was. I guess I just won't. I don't know. I have no idea what I was going to tell you guys. Oops, no. Cancel that. Oops. I about left the studio on you guys. Anyway, my mind went blank for a minute, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue the podcast. Oh, actually, I remember. Okay. That's all I needed. I wanted to go ahead and tell you guys I'm going to end the poll. I did do a poll for the chat, and it said, do you think that Brian kept the murder weapon? And 53% compared to 47%. So 53% said yes. So that was a really close poll. That was like the closest poll I think we've ever done. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and probably do another poll for you guys.
think at what we're going to discover that he's done. I really did.
What do you think, guys? Anybody else want to jump in on that? Do you think this is his first time?
I don't. I believe that he's a mass murderer who is in development to become a serial. And I think some of the programs that the feds, the VICAP program, for an example, the Violent Information Criminal Apprehension Program, all this data is going to be put into that, and then that will flow into NCIC. And I think at this point, investigators from around the country, if he is a serial, will start doing an investigative analysis and do some comparisons.
Yeah, is this Chris McDonough speaking? Chris, yeah. I can guarantee you that they have already taken a buccal swab, or some people say a buccal swab, out of his mouth. It's like sticking a Q-tip in there and rubbing it against the inside lining of your mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
And now they have. You get that through a search warrant, just like you get a search warrant for a home or a car or a safe deposit box. You get a search warrant for a person, and you can get their blood type. You can get their DNA from the inside of their mouth. You can get pubic hairs. You can get a lot from them. It's considered a search under the 4th Amendment of our Constitution. Now that they have his DNA, it can be compared to DNA found at crime scenes all across the country. And I can only assume that's happening right now. Here's another question. Get ready, David Leroy. I want to know if any of your legal experts are concerned about the basis for the initial search warrant for his cell's geolocation. And I got to say no, because when they got the arrest warrant, they had to have PC for that. They had to have PC for that. They also had to have probable cause to get his cell phone records. And what they had at that time is a white Elantra close to the murder scene, and 2 WSU, Washington State University cops spotted the white Elantra right there in Pullman, 10 minutes away from the murder scene. And what we didn't know at the time that we learned later is DM had already given her description of a tall, white male with bushy eyebrows, athletic but not muscular. So these 2 cops at WSU see the Elantra. They connect it back through the college registration to Kohberger. So they've got his name and they've got the Elantra, and he fits DM's description of the perp. That's more than enough PC to get a search warrant for his cell phone. Would you disagree or agree, David Leroy?
Counselor, your argument is very compelling. This has been a by the book in terms of the investigation and in terms of the logical steps that the police have taken. I think you very nicely summarized where that went and likely what the affidavit in support of the search said.
Here's another question from Stephanie. I'm curious about the previously reported automatic locks on each of the bedroom doors. How did he get in? Were they propped open, or were those reports of automatic locks not true? We got the reports of automatic locks on each bedroom door from a previous tenant. I cannot imagine that they have been removed. However, we don't know whether the doors were propped open to avoid sticking in the code every time they went in and out of the room, which is entirely possible. But Kelly, looking right down behind me, the keypad on the door lock is still there. I think I noticed it last night. But I think it's much more likely he came in through a sliding glass door and that the bedroom doors that he got into were not totally closed. That would be my best guess. Also, hold on.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut her off there. But I disagree with that. I'm going to say that Ethan and Zaina, if they weren't outside of the door when the crimes happened, I full-heartedly believe her door was closed. I just don't see her keeping her door open. I wouldn't do that. If I was 20 years old and I had my boyfriend staying over, I would have my bedroom door closed. Even when you're a teenager and you you're at your parents' house and you want to have like a boy or something over and you want to watch like a little movie, you want to close your door and your parents are like, you're not doing that. You know what I mean? It's just part of, I feel like, privacy. I feel like their doors would have been closed. But what do you guys think? Do you guys sleep? Okay, so tell me this. Do you guys sleep with your bedroom doors open or closed? I guess if you live alone, it wouldn't matter. But if you have a roommate, let me know. If you have a roommate, let me know too. If you have a roommate, let me know if you keep your bedroom doors open. Because every time I've had a roommate, I never left my door open. Maybe if I had my own, when I've had my own place, but not, I don't know. I just feel like their doors would be closed. And I do believe that those doors had regular locks on them. I don't think they had key code locks. Just based on the fact that they would have to be metal doors then, because college kids break stuff too much. They would have had to replace those doors. So they would have had to replace those keypads. They wouldn't spend money on extra keypads for kids to be going in. They would just give them a key that you can go and make and put a regular lock on that door. And that's all you get. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to sink in money putting in digital, manual, unlocking mechanisms. This isn't Japan or, in Japan, like every door's like that. They have like no keys over there, I've heard. So and Texas Wild One, I believe that too. I believe Xana went to get her Jack in Box and maybe that's when they encountered him. But I don't think her door was open. I think her door was open maybe because she was coming out. But I don't think that, I think that they would have had it closed. I think that even Maddie and Kaylee would have had their door closed. I believe that Murphy was in the bedroom with them at some point in the night. Okay, I think we just have a couple more seconds of this podcast, though.
Right now.
Guys, we are still taking all of your questions. Find us on social, on Insta, on Facebook, on Twitter. Let me hear your questions. We'll try to answer them. We are live here in Moscow, just outside the murder scene. And I can tell you right now, the silence and the pall over this whole area remains. We wait as the evidence unfolds. I'll see you in court tomorrow for that status hearing. Goodbye, friend.
Okay, and that's the end of that one. And we all know what happened at the status conference hearing. They, if you guys don't know, Brian had his conference hearing. What was it? I think it was Thursday. Yeah, it was Thursday, because the Delphi case was Friday. He went in and he just basically said that he knew what the charges were against him and that he waived his right to a speedy trial. That gives the defense enough time to, look over the evidence that the prosecution has against him and pick apart what they have. And every good defense attorney is going to do that. I figured it would be a continuance. I really did. I was like, this is going to be a continuance only because I know the judicial system pretty well. I feel like, and I knew that it wouldn't be like an arraignment per se. So he does go back to court June 26th. So we have some time. I'm sure a lot of information is going to come out though before he even goes to court. If you guys didn't see my live yesterday, I did show you guys this article by Airmail. And this article supposedly is supposed to be by an officer that was at the scene that day. And if you guys ever want me to, just comment below, or you can always comment after if it's on replay. If you guys need me to read this to you, I will. I wanted to give you guys this to read. It's 26 minutes long. I mean, I could read it to you. It doesn't matter. But I just didn't know if you guys would want to follow along with this much because it is a lot. It's a big read. It's a long one. Like, it's still going. But I don't mind reading it. I just thought I would show it to you guys. And it's supposed to be from the cop's perspective, so take it with a grain of salt. I saw a few channels last night. They went over it on their lives. So I don't know if you guys would like to read that or not. But it is, I'm going to drop the link for the channel membership one more time if you guys want to join the membership. And then I will drop the link for this in here too. Because some of the other channels were trying to say that you couldn't view it. And I'm like, yeah, you can. You just have to put your email address in. So I went ahead and dropped it in the chat if you guys want to, if you want to read this. It's a good read, I guess. It's interesting. Some things are, I don't know. Some things are pretty spot on. And then other things is just like, I don't know. So, thank you for subscribing. Is it Malachi? I don't know. That's really pretty though. Read it. I know someone else they wrote me and they were like, do you know who read this? And I was like, no, I don't. Let's see. If you get your boyfriend over, the doors are closed. Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. If you're having your boyfriend or girlfriend over, I feel like you would like, you would definitely. It does take a lot. Yes. So Allison said that takes a lot of strength to murder 4 people, and especially a stabbing young bloke. Yep. He doesn't look like that. He's that strong to me. Yeah. I mean, he had to have went in there with such force and such anger that I don't know how he did it. I still don't. I really don't know how he did it now that. Okay. So now that we're thinking that he came in, I guess they're saying that maybe he came in the back slider door. He went up the back stairs. He, let me see if I can show you on this. This is kind of confusing. It's like a 3D image of the house. Okay. Let me see what else I have. I have another one, I think. Okay, let me maybe share this one with you. Hold on one second. Actually, this is being really slow. Okay, so this girl did a 3D like image of the Idaho. Like the inside of the, the Idaho house. So I figured we could watch it. It is though turned to the side. So I don't know. It's just, I guess, tilt your head to the side a little. It's a little off. I think it's because, I don't know why, because she should have been able to record it right because this is TikTok and it should have been up and down. But I figured we could watch this really quick. That way it'll kind of show you the layout of the house and how it kind of went down.
This is a 3D walkthrough of the first floor of the Idaho University students' apartment. Idaho University.
Okay, I'm gonna play it one more time for you guys, and then, or maybe I'll play it like maybe twice, and then I wish it was the other way. I thought I had another image too. Like some people have been doing really good jobs on these. I have the one that I was showing you before. This one here. I just need to navigate it a little better. Oh, this wasn't here before. Oh, that's a new little image. They keep adding to this. I don't know who made this, but they're like, this is really nice. So I'll try to, I've got to figure out how to like maneuver this little place, but I'm new, so I'm learning, guys. And I forgot to tell you guys also, that's what I wanted to tell you. This is starting on the second floor. So if you're like, what's going on? Where are they at? So straight ahead would be Zaina and Ethan's room. And then downstairs would be Bethany around the corner. And then, of course, you know, Dylan's room's off to the kitchen. And then upstairs is Maddie and Kaylee's rooms. Okay, now I'm going to show you guys the other one she did of the upstairs.
This is a 3D walkthrough of the first floor.
Sorry, guys. Let me turn that down. Okay. Because she had, like, the first one was not a correct one. So, one of these, this one maybe. Okay, this one might be correct. And sorry that it's to the side, but it kind of gives you a little bit of a feel. Gray Hughes Investigates. He has a good one too, actually. A good image of the house that he did. I don't know if you're familiar with his channel, but it was pretty good. So it looks like that was the first and second floor. Okay, so let's see. Was this the one we just watched? Let me watch this one. Okay, so this is the one that takes you upstairs. So maybe I just need to play them. So I'm going to play this one again. I'll play them in order for you. So it's a little bit easier maybe. Where was the first one at? So yeah, this is going to be starting at the living room and then going downstairs to the first floor. Oh, I can show you guys my outline too. I have another one that I did for the girls, another timeline. Okay. And then let me go back. Sorry. I was trying to pull this up. So that was the first floor. And then this is the second floor. Oh, sorry. Good night, Kay. Sleep tight. Oh, she's going to bed early. Sounds good. It's felt like taking a nap today, guys. Might be a napping day. And I don't know if you guys have seen the inside of Kohlberger's place compared to their place. It's just night and day, I feel like, difference if you're a college kid. And then I have, I can show you the timeline too here after I play you the part 3 of this. So this will be this is the, like, kind of showing you the second floor. Oh, sorry, this was the wrong one. Which one was it? No, was it this one? I can't even remember which one it was now. Oh, it looks like this is the whole walkthrough, so we'll just watch this one. Sorry about that, guys. No, this is the one that she messed up on. Y'all, I can't find the third floor now. One of these she messed up on and she put Dylan downstairs. So I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, this one she put Ethan in there. So like a couple of these she like messed up on them and I was just like, oh, okay. So maybe it was this one. That is the third floor. Yeah, so it's this one here. Sorry about that, guys. They're out of order. If you guys could like the video, if you're just now joining us, we did go over the Nancy Grace podcast and now we're just looking at a 3D image of the house for the Idaho 4 murders that happened on November 13th. If you guys could, just like I said, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers. Then we're going to do our next cash giveaway. And I can show you where we're at in just a moment. Maybe I will bring up the other 3D image one too. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the video because he does really good animations. Oh, is this a new one? Let me see. Oh, wow. Hold on. Give me just a second. This might be really good. I just want to make sure. I don't want to like play the whole thing, but Maybe I should play like a little bit. Okay, so let me share this with you. Let me put... Let me put his, this is Gray Hughes Investigates. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he does YouTube. He does a lot of like animated like reenactments and things of that nature. He is very, very talented in that aspect. I wish I could do those. I really wish I could do that kind of stuff. I'm learning very slowly. Actually, I'm learning pretty fast for you guys, I feel like. But so I want to show you this really quick. This is his newest animation. And he has the car driving up and everything. So I'm only going to show you like the inside of the house and stuff, but we'll go ahead and view it because it's really good. And I'm going to put the link to the video in the chat really quick. So if you guys want to, you know, catch this later too, you can. And also I'll go ahead and put up our count for... We are at 4804, guys. We were just trying to get to 5,000. We are almost there. This is awesome. Thank you guys so much for being with me today. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I'll find out where we were. Okay. So this is his 3D animation here. Oops. Where do we want to start it? We'll start it right here. It looks like this is where the car is kind of pulling up. And I'm just going to leave the volume down. But it looks like, I'm going to point out right off the rip, it looks like that he feels like that the killer maybe went in the front door as well. I don't really get to watch his stuff very often because I'm really busy with just doing my own stuff. But I do like to watch his animations, and I haven't seen this one. So I don't know. I think that that's interesting that he has him going in the front door because I've been stuck on the front door this whole time. You believe that DM saw him, but you don't believe that he saw her. I can believe that too, definitely. I really believe that. I think I believe that also. Maybe I can turn it up a little bit so it's not so quiet. Let me see what he's saying.
They were playing lovers.
Oh, he's just talking. Okay. So yeah, that would have been Xana's room there. And I'm just trying to type in the chat really quick. And then this would be, you know, going up the stairs to Kaylee and Maddie's rooms. Okay, if I can type in the chat, maybe. I'm going to put the membership link to the chat, or in the chat, if you guys want to join our membership. We'd love to have you to be a Titan with us. So hopefully I'm not typing too loud. So I wonder why he's... Okay, I'm going to go back to this and see what he's doing today with this. I might just do his other one. Because this would be Bethany's room, right? Yeah. Now, do you guys think in the chat and everybody, Do you put a, okay, let me see. I want to write it down so I don't forget like how I said it. Okay. Put a 1 in the chat if you feel like Brian or the killer, allegedly it's Brian. So, you know, Brian, there's a lot of evidence against you there, buddy. So do you believe that he came in the front door? So put a 1 in the chat if you believe he came in the front door and that's why the front door was left open. Or put a 2 in the chat if you feel like he entered and exited through the back sliding door. If Xana was awake, there would be... So Jay said, if Xana was awake and knew there was a stranger in the house, I'm surprised she didn't try to shut her door when she heard him coming. There should have been a bunch of noise made by her. Yeah, you're right. Unless she was just trying to be like quiet and get back to the room. A lot of you guys say choose back door. I'm on this front door kicked by myself, aren't I? I don't know why, but it looks like that's what it looks like Gray Hughes thinks too. I thought this was going to be a little bit better. It's so jumpy. So I'm going to actually show you a different one of his. If I can find it. Because we watched it on here before and it was really good. It was this one, I bet. Did we? Okay, let me take it to where we need it. And do we know if Ethan was outside? I didn't hear about him being outside. Actually, let me stop this. I think this was before. This was made before, though, the probable cause came out. But they didn't find him outside. They didn't say anything about him. All my pages are out of order because we were talking about a different part today. So it should be on this side. It says that the officers walked upstairs to the second floor. Officer Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned was Xana's room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Coronato's laying on the floor. Coronado was deceased with wounds, which may appear to have been caused by an edged weapon. Sorry about that. Also in the room was a male later identified as Ethan. So yeah, that part is wrong. So Ethan was in the room, but this was made beforehand. So I will give him that. But it just is going to tell you kind of where everyone was. Yeah, Allison, it sounds like Xana was on the floor. Yeah. And then there's the dog. And then this would have been Maddie's room. Oh, she did? Oh, that's so nice. She's pretty. She's like so pretty. So yeah, this is Gray Hughes investigates. Like I was saying, this is his video. Just kind of gives you a kind of depiction of the house. I guess I should have blown it up for you better. Sorry, guys. So if you guys didn't see the inside. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That's so sweet. Did anybody have any questions or anything? That's really all I have for you guys. It was just the, I wanted to go over the crime stories, the podcast with Nancy Grace and all that. I was going to bring up my timeline, but Let me see. I'll share this with you guys instead, since we kind of went through the house a few times. I have so many tabs open, guys. I need to like close some of these. I'm getting all confused. So yeah, this was my timeline for the girls, and for Zaina and Ethan. I'm sorry, for Ethan as well. Trying to read some of your chat. Oh, thank you so much. I love that your person is a little purse. That's a cute purse. Oh, I can't. Oh, that's so good. Well, good. I'm glad that we're in the same. I'm glad that we're like, you know, we're matched together. That makes me happy because she's very good. She actually did a live, I think, yesterday. I was going to watch it. When I watch her lives, though, I have to watch her talk. All things Pendizzy. But no, like, because her accent is so, it's like soothing. I could go to sleep listening to her. Like, just, she has a good voice for true crime, and she has a passion for it too, which is really nice to see. So this was my timeline for the girls. It's hard to read, so I can read it to you guys though. But it just says, you know, from 9 to 1:45, Ethan and Zaina were at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus. I don't know if this makes it any better. Probably not for you guys. That's way too much. I'll just say we'll get there. And then it says from 10 to 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie were seen on surveillance at the Corner Club, a bar in downtown Moscow. And then 1:30 to 1:56, Kaylee and Maddie went to the Grub Truck food truck and took a private party home. They arrived at 1:56. Also, we do have now, we have knowledge now from Kaylee's family. They came out and did an interview with Chronicles of Olivia the other night. The private driver that took Kaylee and Maddie home, they're the ones that alerted Olivia and Kaylee's family to that food grub truck that night. So if it wasn't for the private driver coming forward, they would have never known the cameras existed there. That's what they made it kind of seem like. Also, you know, that's how they found out. Olivia's the one that found out that they arrived home at 1:56 because of the Ring doorbell cam, which I think that they're very sleuthy people. And a lot came out in that interview as well. Grab my water. I wonder what Jack in the Box they went to. I think they went to the one in Pullman. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry, I was trying to read some of your chats. So if you guys are just now joining us, thank you so much for being here. We did just go over the Nancy Grace podcast, and now we're just going over the timeline of the night of the Idaho murders. And just having a good chat. So then at 4 o'clock, so everyone is home approximately the same time. Dylan hears what she believes is Kaylee playing with Murphy. At 4:12, Zaina is eating/watching TikTok around this time. Dylan heard what she thinks is Kaylee saying, "There's someone here," but this could have been Zaina though, since she was awake. And Dylan looked out of the room again, but didn't see anything. It's so strange that like Dylan kept going to the door. I mean, I would have probably yelled out. Probably by the second time I had to walk out the door, I would have been like, "Calm down" or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to sleep. But that could have saved her life by not yelling out, I guess. Don't do what I would do. What'd Jay say? Dylan says she heard, wait, let me see. Let me go back. It's hard to like look on two screens. Let me see. Am I missing some of the chat? No, it's right here. Dylan says she heard crying as she saw a guy in a mask leaving her house. Sounds like Zaina was still alive when BK left. Her lack of action may have contributed to Zaina bleeding out. I hope not. I really hope not. I really hope not. But You never know. So maybe Kaylee left Murphy in the other room and fell semi-asleep in Maddie's bed. Yeah, maybe. I think that I don't know if Kaylee would leave. The thing with that is, I don't think Kaylee would put Murphy in her bedroom if she had items in there. Murphy was still a puppy, under a year old. That dog would have chewed whatever she had. She had makeup. She had designer clothes. Her sister came out and said she had really nice things. She liked nice things. I don't think she would have locked her dog up in a bedroom all night with her own personal belongings. You know what I'm saying? So unless that room was bare, I think the dog was with her and Kaylee. And Maddie. And then I'm almost finished with this too. And this is 4:12 to 4:15. Dylan hears what she thinks is crying coming from Zaina's room. Dylan said she then heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." And I spelled help wrong. Around this time, security cameras, and this is at 4:17. Around this time, security cameras picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices, whimpering, followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking at this time. I spelled this wrong too, man. I was spelling these all wrong. Dylan opens her door for the third time to see a man in a face mask and dark clothing. She describes him as tall, around 5'10", not muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. She states the man walked past her and out the back sliding door. She locked herself in her room at this point. And that was at 4:17 to 4:20. So within that little time window, he had about 16 minutes to do all these murders, get out of the house. And then the next day at 11:58 a.m., that's when someone called the police the surviving roommates called the police or a friend. 5'10" is, it's average tall, I would say. I would say it's tall. My dad was 5'10". I'd say it's tall. I don't know. What's the guy's regular height? I think it's like average 5'10". And she was pretty close too. She was only a couple inches off on his height. And if you think about it, if you're terrified like that, you see someone with a mask coming at you, you don't know who they are. He may have had the knife in his hand with blood all over it. We don't know what she saw, like what he looked like, what his clothes looked like. I don't know if I would even be able to tell you what somebody looked like in that. I would be so frozen in shock and fear that I think my brain would shut down. So, I don't know. Yeah, I think she was very, very accurate on her weight and the weight, the height, the bushy eyebrows, all of that. And she is tall, yeah. So I think that's why she put him a little bit shorter. She really wasn't, because I'm tall for a girl, I think. I'm 5'8", a little over 5'8", but she looks taller than me. Or maybe she's as tall as me. But that is all I really have for you guys for today. We are going to do a live tomorrow morning like we normally do. We do lives throughout the week at 10 a.m. Sometimes I come back in the evening and do another live. Just depends, If there's any breaking news, I always come out and let you know. We are working on other cases also. Madalena Kojakari is a missing little girl out of North Carolina. We are looking for her. Her parents, her stepdad and her mom are not very talkative right now. It's kind of like a Lori Vallow situation. So I have a playlist on her. Michael Vaughn, we're still waiting to hear. Cops are digging around, trying to find something, on him. Try to find him. And what else do we have? We have Leilani Simon. She's in jail, so she's going to court, I believe, here soon. She'll be going back to court. She filed something the other day, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I was trying to give you guys a little update of stuff, but what else? Anna Walsh. So, okay, yeah, right here. This is what I thought. She motioned for camera inspection. So she filed. Let me see. I've read this now. I can't remember what it was saying. It's the subpoena all Department of Family and Children files pertaining to or involving all of her children. And actually all of the guardians as well. the alleged defendant in the above entitled case, and to conduct an in-camera inspection to determine whether disclosure of these records or portions thereof to defense counsel is required for defendant to receive a fair trial. So she wants records, court records. So she's doing the same thing he's doing. Anna Walsh is very interesting. Her husband is something else. I know, I'm sorry. The timeline is so bad. My timeline is like, I thought it was bigger. Maybe I can I hide me? Can I remove this? No. Shoot, I was going to try to put it behind us there, but I can't do that. But that is all I have for you guys today. If you could like the video on your way out, or if you guys are just I'm sorry, I was like whistle through my teeth. Or if you're just checking us out on a replay, #replay, let me know your comments below, all your thoughts on this case. I really would love to know. Yeah, you're right. Yep, her parents said that she moved out. She was only there to show her that. Actually, I had notes I was going to tell you guys about. Kaylee's father, he looked over Jack. He took pictures of Jack before the officers even really got a hold of Jack. So that's why they knew right away they wanted to like rule him out. The family had known that he hadn't done this since the beginning. Also, Olivia lives in LA, which I didn't know. I just thought that was like a fun fact. Her father I told you about the private driver. Her father did talk about the door being unlocked a lot of times. But I don't know if you guys want to check out Chronicles of Olivia. Her new video is out, and she did an actual interview with the Gonzalez family. So it was actually very, very tasteful, very, very well put together, I thought, by her. And I can't say anything bad about that. So thank you guys so much for coming and joining me today. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 10:15. Don't forget to be here. I'll be here waiting on you. And I'll see you guys on the next live. Bye, guys.